It was around 4 in the afternoon when my wife showed up at the house and realized the locks had been changed. She started pounding on the door, shouting at the top of her lungs. I just stayed quiet and didn't respond. She tried calling my phone again, but I'd already silenced it. After that, she smashed a window and stormed off. Hey, everyone. Hope you're all doing alright out there. I'm back with another story to share. As usual, I'll drop the link in the description for you. You've seen the title, so let's dive in. Honestly, I just need to get some things off my chest. Here's how it all started. I'm sitting at work, just fuming. I haven't spent much time with my son this year. Thanks to this stupid virus, I didn't get to have him over for the summer, and that's been eating at me. Then, at the end of September, I found out my wife, who I've been married to for 5 years, has been cheating on me. Ever since, I've been playing detective, digging into everything, and it's turned into a huge mess with no clear answers. I've had to put up with this awful woman in my own home, acting like nothing's wrong, when all I want to do is throw her out and be done with it. My lawyer keeps telling me to wait, to hold off. I haven't slept in my own bed for almost 2 months now. Honestly, once she's gone, I'm tempted to just set the thing on fire. We haven't been intimate at all, and now she's accusing me of being unfaithful. When she tries to hug or kiss me, I just sit there, forcing myself not to react, even though it makes my skin crawl. When I look at her, it's like I can see bugs crawling all over her. I want her out of my life, but it's always, not yet, not yet. I'm running out of patience. It feels like being trapped in a big, empty room with someone, just a table between you, and all you can hear is them tapping on the table, over and over, until you want to flip the thing and lose your mind. I can't even talk to anyone about it right now because, again, it's not time yet. I'm mad at myself, disappointed that I let myself get into this situation and let someone treat me like this again. I just want it to be over. I miss my son so much. Man. Let me just check out these comments before I get into the updates. So, in the comments, he shares a bit of good news. He was on Skype with his son earlier, and Matt's girlfriend happened to pop into the call. She took one look at him and said he looked terrible. He told her he's been in a rough spot, missing his son, and feeling pretty alone these days. Later, she called him back and invited him to come up for Thanksgiving. He's really excited about it. The only thing is, he's going to have to argue with his wife about why he's not going with her to her parents' place for the holiday, but he's planning to leave at 3 in the morning. It's a long drive, about 4 days, but he won't have to see his wife, and he'll finally get to be in the same room as his kid, which hasn't happened since April. There's no way he's missing out on that. Someone wished him a good visit. Then, someone else asked, just to clarify, this ex-girlfriend is different from your first wife, right? He replied, yeah, totally different. My first wife is just a bad memory now. My ex-girlfriend and I actually get along. Another person asked, is your ex-girlfriend's husband the guy she cheated on you with? He explained, no, my ex and I broke up because I couldn't commit. I had a lot of trust issues after my first marriage. We were together for 6 years, 4 of those with a kid, but she didn't want to keep living like that, so we split. Honestly, those were the best years of my life. I still care about her a lot. We have a good relationship. She met someone new after we broke up and moved back north. So, to sum it up, his child is with his ex-girlfriend, but he's currently living with his wife, who he's trying to divorce. Alright, let's move on to the updates. Alright, here comes the first update. Let's get into it. I almost lost my nerve, to be honest. So, here's how things have been going. I'll give you a little more background, too. I've been checking my wife's browsing history. Yeah, I know, I'm snooping, but I've seen she hasn't touched Reddit in half a year. At this stage, I honestly couldn't care less. I'm just barely hanging on here. Anyone out there who's ever discovered the truth and managed to keep quiet until the right moment to serve their cheating partner, I seriously respect you. This is unbelievably tough. I got home late on Sunday, which was actually a relief. I really didn't want to run into her or have any kind of conversation. I was exhausted, so I just crashed in my chair and slept there. I haven't had a decent night's sleep in 2 months, and I've dropped about 15 pounds. I look terrible and feel even worse, but that night, I finally got a solid 8 hours for the first time in ages. Monday rolls around, and my wife tries to get things going in the bedroom. I just can't do it. There's no way I can be intimate with her now. It's not a physical problem, trust me, everything works just fine in the mornings. It's just that, for once, my body, my mind, and my heart are all on the same page. She got really upset about it, and we ended up having a pretty nasty argument. I told her maybe something was wrong with me, you know, I'm 50 years old, these things happen. She started hinting again that I must be cheating on her. She said I'm not being a good husband, that I haven't made a move on her in over 2 months, and I haven't told her I love her in just as long. So, in her mind, I must be up to something behind her back. She really tried to twist things around on me, make me feel like I was the one doing wrong. The truth is, I was doing something behind her back, I was putting all the pieces together. My D-Day was September 25th. I work in collision repair, mostly dealing with cars and trucks that are total disasters. On September 25th, I ended up slicing my leg open on a truck I was working on. That landed me in the ER. I needed 5 stitches inside my leg and 34 on the outside. It was a mess. They put me on some strong pain meds, and there was no way I could drive myself, so I called my wife. No answer. Waited 5 minutes, called again. Still nothing. Tried a 3rd time. Nothing. I texted her, babe, pick up. I need you. Call me. Tried calling again. Still no response. Sent more texts. Nothing. This went on for about an hour and a half. Finally, I just called an Uber to get me home. As we turned onto my street, I could see my house, and there she was, standing in the doorway, making out with the general manager from her job. I told the driver to stop right there. This wasn't just a quick kiss, they were really going at it. She was supposed to be at work. I pulled out my phone, snapped a couple of pictures, and told the driver to keep going. I had him take me back to work instead. I sat in the break room for 4 hours, just staring at the table, completely numb and heartbroken. When the painkillers wore off, I drove home, hurting from my leg and from everything running through my mind. She wasn't there when I got back. She showed up a couple hours later, acting all worried. Maybe she was just pretending, I honestly couldn't tell. I asked her about her day, and she fed me some made-up story about work. I knew it was a lie. A week later, I found out she hasn't worked a Friday in 3 years. I never really got into Reddit before. It was always just there, but I never paid much attention. Lately, I've been searching for advice on how to deal with cheaters, and this subreddit popped up, along with a bunch of YouTube videos. So, I started reading, just trying to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do now. I kept seeing all these red flags and thinking, yep, that's her. That describes her perfectly. Always glued to her phone, always texting, but for some reason, she can never answer my calls or reply to my texts. She had no clue until last Monday that I'd been sitting in the ER, desperately trying to reach her. In 2 whole months, she hadn't even bothered to look at our chat history. She started screaming at me, saying I needed to step up as a husband and that I wasn't doing enough for her. I got so damn mad, I grabbed my phone, pulled up our chat history, and shoved it right in her face, showing her all those messages she never bothered to answer. I'm not the type to yell, but I lost it and shouted that the one time I truly needed her, she completely disappeared on me. She pulled out her own phone, checked it, and then just walked out of the house for a couple of hours. Unbelievable. When she finally came back, she apologized, but then looked me straight in the eye and lied. She claimed she'd had a rough day at work and was just too busy to notice my calls and texts. The reality is, she missed all those messages because she was too busy screwing her boss in our house to even look at her phone. Since that day, I've been digging through her stuff, her phone, her laptop, her iPad. I figured out I could see everything from one of her old phones. I even set up cameras around the house. For 2 months, I've been watching her cheat on me in real time. Man, talk about testing your patience. And let me just say, I always thought Apple products were for dummies, but now I see they're a cheater's worst nightmare. Everything syncs up, so I could see it all. I found out she doesn't just dislike my son, she actually resents him, probably because having him around in the summer messed up her plans. I also discovered this affair has been going on for years, not just with her boss. One of the guys she's been sleeping with is someone I've worked alongside and called a friend for over 14 years. She works with his wife, and that woman has been helping her cover up the affair with her boss. These people introduced me to her, watched me propose, and even came to our wedding, all while knowing she was cheating on me. I know about 4 different men now, 2 I know personally, 2 I don't. They've had sex with her in my bed, on my couch, on the kitchen table where I eat, even in my shower. These jerks have used my own soap to clean themselves off. It's unreal. One weekend, I went up to my hunting property just to get away from it all. I invited her, like I always do, but she turned me down, as usual. When I got back, I watched on camera as a parade of men came through my house and slept with my wife. She didn't even bother to shower between 2 of them. It was disgusting. Yeah, I even put a camera in the bathroom. The same thing happened when I went to Chicago for Thanksgiving. She spent the whole weekend hooking up with other guys in my home, in my bed. For 2 months, I kept all of this bottled up until I finally told my ex-girlfriend what was happening. On the outside, I've been acting calm, but inside, I'm about ready to explode. I almost confronted her about the cheating, but instead, I just swallowed her lies. I even apologized for our argument and told her I'd make a doctor's appointment for my so-called erectile dysfunction. Then I read her text to her boss, where she called me a limp dick and said she couldn't wait for Friday. Man, you have no idea how much self-control this has taken. This is not the woman I fell for 7 years ago. I wish I could just say she's evil, but honestly, I think she's got some serious mental health issues. She's definitely a sociopath, or something close to it. Whatever the case, this is not what I signed up for. It took everything in me to even ask her to marry me after my first divorce. I had a hard time trusting anything nice a woman said to me after what I went through. I ended up pushing away 2 amazing women in my life because I was still messed up from my first marriage, especially from everything that happened after the divorce. Deep down, I think they knew she never really loved me. My first divorce left me with nothing. When I walked away from that first marriage, all I had to my name was $43. No house, no car, nothing to help me keep working, and not a single bit of support from my family. For the next 3 years, I bounced from couch to couch because every penny I earned went straight to alimony and paying off our debts. Man, I was only 22, and it felt like my life was wrecked before it even had a chance to get going. I remember spending my 24th birthday drunk, crashed on a buddy's couch, with a gun in my mouth, bawling my eyes out because I just didn't have the guts to pull the trigger. Back then, I couldn't see any way out. Ever since that night, I've kept $43 in my wallet as a reminder of just how low I once was. I'm not saying I'm back in that same dark place now, but honestly, it feels pretty close. Sure, I'm older and a little smarter this time, and I've protected myself better, but the pain is all too familiar. The first time I caught someone cheating on me, I had to do it the old school way, came home early from a trip and walked right into it. That was the end of it. The gaslighting was just her saying, "It's not what it looks like," and then screaming at me to stop as I lost it and started swinging at my brother and his friend. Don't ever do that. That move cost me big time in the divorce. Oh, I paid for it. But at least it was over, no more lies, no more pretending. This time, though, it's been this slow, drawn-out nightmare of lies and secrets, just holding everything in while she keeps lying, even when there's no reason to. Sometimes I swear, every time I blink, she's with another guy. I don't love her anymore. Let's be clear, there's no fixing this. I'm done. I've checked out completely. Our anniversary is on Pearl Harbor Day, and I'll make sure she never forgets it, but right now, every second feels like an hour. I'm exhausted. My head is pounding all the time. All the therapy I've done over the years feels like it's gone out the window. Man, alright, let's move on to the next update. So, here's the latest, it's over. I served her yesterday. For everyone asking, I wasn't in the right headspace to write about it then, and honestly, I'm still not, but I need to get this out. I woke up, left the house, and grabbed some breakfast while I waited for her to head off to work. I rented a truck, went back home, and changed the locks. My friend and her husband came over to help, and he brought another buddy. We packed up all her stuff, bedroom furniture I'd bought her as a wedding present, my couch, my dining table, basically every piece of furniture she'd defiled. We hauled it all to storage. I stuffed all her clothes into garbage bags. I was about to toss her dirty laundry in with the clean, but my friend stopped me. We finished up a little after 11, right around lunchtime. After that, I picked up some flowers and chocolates and headed to her work. I gave her the flowers and candy, wrapped her up in a big hug, and kissed her. She was grinning and blushing, and her coworkers were all, "Ah, that's so sweet." I told her I'd love to take her out for lunch, but I had to get my leg checked out, and not to make any plans for the evening because I wanted to give her a night she'd never forget. I kissed her goodbye and started to leave. From now on, I'm just going to call her boss, freaking Greg, or FT. As I was heading out, I spotted her boss, gave him a big smile, and said, "Hey, freaking Greg, how's it going?" Gave him a wave and walked out. Then I grabbed some lunch. At 2 in the afternoon, a deputy was scheduled to walk into my wife's workplace and serve her the papers. At that same time, I was standing in front of FT's house. I texted him the photo I'd taken the day I caught them together, and I even snapped a selfie in front of his place and sent that too. I knocked on the door, and Mrs. FT answered. She knew me a little from parties and work events. I told her straight up that my wife and her husband were having an affair. She didn't believe me at first, so I showed her that photo. She actually slapped me that I just stood there while she broke down in tears. I handed her a thumb drive with everything I had on my wife and her husband. I told her straight up that my wife was sleeping around with multiple guys and that she should get checked for STDs. I also gave her my lawyer's business card and my phone number. She started asking me why I was doing this to her, and honestly, I had to ask myself the same thing. I really hurt her, and I felt like the biggest jerk for it. I told her she deserved to know the truth, but even saying that, I felt like a total a-hole. As I was leaving, my phone started blowing up with calls and texts. I ignored all of them and just headed home. When I got back, I changed my Facebook status to divorced. Then I started reading the messages from my wife. What the hell is this? What are you doing? All that kind of stuff. I replied and told her she could come by the house at 7 p.m. sharp to get her clothes, not a minute before. Apparently, FT didn't tell her right away what I'd done. He probably had his own mess to deal with, but eventually, my wife texted me, cussing me out for telling Mrs. FT. So, he must have filled her in. Then my so-called friend who'd been covering for my wife, let's call her Rachel, started calling me. I finally picked up and asked her straight out, how long have you known about my wife and FT? Don't lie to me. She admitted what I'd already guessed. She'd known the whole time, even before my wife and I ever met. The entire time, I was just the side guy. My whole marriage was a sick joke. That's a tough pill to swallow. I asked her why she never told me. She said they were afraid I'd lose it, maybe get violent or something. I told her she knew me better than that. She said she kept quiet because she was my wife's friend. But what about me? Wasn't I supposed to be her friend too? I asked her, if she knew her husband was cheating, wouldn't she want me to tell her? Isn't that what friends do? She said yes. So, I hung up, sent her the pictures my wife had taken of her and her husband, and texted her my lawyer's number, telling her, that's my lawyer. He's got everything I know. Then I told her not to contact me ever again. Around 4 p.m., my wife showed up at the house and realized the locks had been changed. She started pounding on the door and yelling, but I didn't answer. She tried calling, but I'd already turned my ringer off. Then she smashed a window and left. Close to 7 p.m. 2 deputies pulled up out front. One of them was actually one of the guys who helped me move stuff earlier. His wife showed up too. My friend was there, and right at 7, my wife arrived. She looked pretty defeated. I'm guessing she and Rachel had already had it out by then. I handed her her clothes, the storage key, and address, along with my lawyer's card. I told her that from now on, all communication would go through my lawyer. She started in with the, I love you, stuff, saying we could work it out, that she was sorry, she loved me, it was a mistake, she didn't love those other guys, it didn't mean anything. I just pointed at my lawyer's card. She started insisting it was her house too and that I couldn't kick her out. I told her it was my home, and she'd literally screwed herself out of it. That's when she really lost it. All the, I love yous, turned into cussing and, I hate yous. The deputies turned on their lights, and the neighbors came out to watch the whole circus. I stayed pretty calm, kept my hands at my sides. She kept screaming at me, and I think she might have been drinking. She started crying that she had nowhere to go, and when I told her I didn't care, I learned something new, my wife can throw a mean right hook. She gave me a fat lip and a bloody nose. I didn't move, just stood there and took it. She tried to scratch my face, but the deputies stepped in and restrained her. I told them not to press charges, just to get her out of there. They filed an incident report so I could get a restraining order. Honestly, I'm kind of glad she hit me. After she left, I went back inside, and while I was cleaning up my face, all those feelings I'd been pushing down for the last couple of months finally caught up with me. I'm just worn out. I thought I'd feel some kind of relief after everything was said and done, but I don't. I just feel absolutely terrible. I'm not the type of guy who cries much, but I've been doing a lot of that since last night. My phone is blowing up, there are almost 600 missed calls and texts, and the number keeps climbing. I've decided to cut off contact with all our mutual friends for now. I don't want any of them trying to play peacemaker or get in the middle. I'll deal with those relationships later. I didn't call my son last night, which is a first for me. I've always called him every night. I'll talk to him tonight. Honestly, I doubt he'll be too upset about the news. He never really liked her anyway. Man. Let me just share my thoughts here. This whole thing has been wild. At first, I was honestly confused, trying to keep track of the ex-girlfriend, the current wife, and the son. It only started to make sense once I read through the other updates. But, man, the patience it took to sit there, wait, and gather all that evidence just because my lawyer said to, serious patience. I know I went through hell with my first divorce. I was just a kid, left with $43 to my name, and I struggled for years. You'd think I would have learned my lesson, but here I am, going through it all over again. All I can say is, patience. That's what it took. What do you all think about this? I really want to hear your thoughts, because this is just insane. The number of people involved, friends, her boss, it's just brutal. Honestly, it makes total sense to go no contact with the mutual friends. I wouldn't trust any of them. My plan is just to get through the divorce, listen to my lawyer, and move on with my life. Hopefully, that's what happens. This last update was just a day ago, so I'm sure there'll be more to come. I'll keep following this story and keep you all posted. Now, let's take a look at some of the comments. Someone said, well, that was a proper job, especially with Rachel. She finally learned what happens when you help cover up cheating. I'm glad you kept your cool when Mrs. FT hit you. You handled the whole blow-up with your wife and her affair partner like a champ. Another person pointed out that Rachel really can't be mad, since she was fine with cheating as long as it wasn't her own husband. That's the thing, cheaters don't have any loyalty, and Rachel should have known her man was just as much at risk as anyone else's. That's why you never stay friends with someone who cheats. I replied and said, I do and don't feel bad about what I did. I definitely steered the conversation so she'd admit she'd want to know if her husband was cheating, just so I could make my point. I do feel bad for the kids, though. They were always over at my place. And with that, I'd love to hear what you all think about this story. It's been a wild ride. Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. As always, I'll put the link in the description, with all the updates and the original post. You can check it out for yourself. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys next time.